everyone. We're going to make a start. Rachel's going to record me so you can watch me back again in your own time. So a couple of things first of all, so you know on Blackboard where to find all this information. So if it's all on ID application, it's under module brief, and I've put right at the top, so it's module brief note 3 IKEA. Okay, so if you click in there, you can see the brief, the hard copy of the brief at the top that you've all had. There is Emma's PowerPoint presentation, and we'll be uploading her video shortly, so you'll be able to access that as well. There's a presentation now that we just sort of want to go through to help with things to think about, which is on here. The PDF drawings for all 4 spaces, and I've already emailed Emma as well as a reminder when she gets back to IKEA to send the CAD drawings through, and I'll put those on there. And then there's a tab on here because I've asked you to confirm your project selection, which is maybe on this one. So if you click on the link by 4 PM today. Okay, so oh yeah, still deciding. Ideally by 4 PM today. Yeah, I mean, if it needs to go into tomorrow, that's okay. That's
it's
fine.
just to help you, isn't it?
It's to sort of help you make a decision, and also to help us plan as well. Okay, so you make a decision on which one, and actually, if you are doing it as a group, just to put the names of the students doing it in the group. And we were just talking about that with Jess about if it could still work in a group. Okay, so I think if everyone in the group has a laptop, it can still work. Okay, and we can share things. So Rachel and I have been looking at the Google Slides doc that we're going to show you over the weekend, and it's immediate. We've both been working into it. There's now a tool on Blackboard. If I go back to Blackboard side, it's, where is it gone to? Here, Blackboard Collaborate. Okay, this is a tool that I'm not going to go into too much detail now because I'm still figuring it out. But this is a tool that we will probably be using to collaborate, yeah, as groups, and so you can, as part your participants, we're moderators as the tutors, and you can have numbers of people who can communicate in real time through Blackboard Collaborate.
We think it's like WhatsApp.
Yeah.
That's like an ongoing conversation.
But that's online.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just sort of looking into that. But I think if you have got laptops, there is no reason, if you want to work in a group wherever you are, that you can't do that. Okay, so you need to make that decision. So it's either something you want to do individually. Is that right?
Yeah, just went to your emails.
Okay. Yeah, so it's something that a decision that you can make. But if you decide you want to work as a group, and actually, if you don't have a laptop and you will be doing things physically, perhaps there might be ways that you could still do that, okay? Because you can photograph your work and do that really nicely, okay? So there's just, kind of be open-minded about it. Yeah, this situation is like not what anyone would have expected. It's out of our control, it's out of your control. So all we can do is sort of try and use all the tools that we can and all the resources that we can to sort of continue ahead, okay, with a degree of flexibility. Okay, so as soon as we have more information about that, we will get that to you, okay? But there are these different tools available that we'll be able to use. So that is where you can find all the IKEA information, okay, under module brief. Just to now go on to here. Okay. So this week, teaching, we are, teaching is currently is teaching is continuing as normal this week. Okay, so formative reviews will go ahead, but they might go ahead in a slightly different format. in the sense of student availability. So my gut feeling is that students who aren't here are not happy to have face-to-face reviews. Okay, so what I will need to do is contact everybody and just get them to, again, maybe through a Google Doc, to tell me whether you know, it's face-to-face, Skype or email or so on for feedback for the reviews. And I need to do the same with tutors as well, so Jen and Steve, okay? So everybody's got sort of different circumstances, so I'll be collecting all of that information. And the reason I needed anyone who was making changes to their design portfolios to upload it by 10 AM tomorrow, so that I've got the time to download all those PDFs and then distribute them to tutors, and tutors can review them, yeah, before they speak with you in whatever format. Okay, so there's just a little bit of time there of getting stuff down and looking at it. So if you have made changes, please do upload it by then, and I'll just show you as well, because on Blackboard I've added in another tab under assessment. Where's assessment gone? There it is. Under assessment. Okay, so here in pink, module brief, design portfolio. If you have made changes since the last upload on the 5th of March, upload your latest version. That will just help me, because I can go on there, and if there are any students that haven't uploaded it, I know that it'll be on the previous one. Okay, so that's just helpful for me. Yeah, so if you've made changes, upload it to there. Okay. And as I say, I'll send an email out with a link, and if really quickly you can sort of fill that in terms of your availability and so on for Thursday. Okay, so that's all of that information. You've got the module briefing you've had the module briefing from Emma. We've then sort of formulated this into this brief. So you can choose the space, you can work individually, in pairs, in threes, in fours. I would say no more than 4. You'll make your selection, and then we can organise sort of teaching and delivery around that. And then objective 2. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of work through these objectives really quickly and then flip through the slides. So the idea is that next week, in some format, we'll review where you're at. Okay, we'll review your developing ideas. It'll be online. It might be using something like Blackboard Collaborate. But what we would like you to do is the format that Emma has asked for, which is in objective 3, a mood board, yeah, a product board, architectural drawings consisting of plan, section or elevation, 3D visualisation, which might be a hand sketch, it might be from a CAD model, it might be from a physical model, however you are doing that, and the cost to implement it. So as you're developing your work, the idea is that you can put some of that information into a Google Slides, so we can all share it. So I'll set the Google Slides up with your names. You can input slides. It'll be sort of because of numbers. What I might do, I might break it down almost into 4 little groups. So there might be 4 Google Slides. There might be 12 students in each one, and then when we know your sort of preferred way, or we might look at Blackboard Collaborate, that next week, next Monday, we'll have a review and a discussion on it. Okay, so that you're just going to have to bear with us while we sort of work out the format of that. But it's really important that a week into the project that we have some discussion about how you're getting on, and sort of things that you might need to think about. So we'll send you a link to a Google Slides, and you can put your information in there. Ultimately, you'll then, and I think I'm going to flip on here now and look at the weeks. Okay, so we're in week 1 now, which is concept. So you'll be thinking about the project brief, developing ideas. Next week we'll be reviewing it, you'll be developing the communication of it. And the following week, so 2 weeks today, it's a short project, you'll be submitting, you were going to be presenting, but you will be submitting an online design portfolio, okay? And that online design portfolio at this point will just be for those things that Emma has asked for, okay? And then after that online submission, you can then add more work to it if you wish, around process, around development. You might have done more work on it, and that essentially is your developing design portfolio, which will be for submission. Okay, so I'm just going to go on to the next slide. There'll be a bit of sort of flipping around. So for this project, you will submit your work to Emma as an A2 design portfolio, okay, with a maximum really of 6 sheets. Now if you want, you might have sort of 3 sheets, you might want to double up, yeah, and you might want to put your mood board with your product board and so on, okay, but it's a maximum of 6 sheets. Now Emma will have lots of work that she's got to look through, so what we're doing is minimising, you know, that she's not looking through design portfolios. We've got 15 sheets, for instance, that they're restricted. That is what she's wanting, that information. As an online submission, so you'll create it in InDesign, you'll export it as a PDF, and I will then share all of those with Emma. So you'll upload it to Blackboard. I'll create a new assessment point. You'll upload your IKEA design portfolio. I will download all of that, and then we will share that with Emma, okay, across all students. She's really keen at some point in the future that you can present that to her, and we'll look at that. But at the moment, it will be an online submission, okay. But we're aware that there might be more work that you've produced that actually, in terms of your module and your study, that you sort of want to demonstrate in that design portfolio. So after that point, after the 30th of March, you can expand on that design portfolio if you wish, and you might want to show some process, some development, and some exploration, and you can do that, and you can add that to your design portfolio. Okay. Now currently, what we were working towards was, and I sort of, it's difficult to plan this far ahead at the moment. What we were currently working towards is a design freeze at the start of Collab. Okay. So the first day back after Easter would be the 20th of April, and the idea was that at that point all students would have a design freeze and not be able to work on any of this work in studio, okay, and would have to, because you'd be busy with Collab. Now Collab as we know it will have to change, and there will be something, we've already had conversations about that, we've got some quite interesting ideas. So, I've said to you before, the reason why we put deadlines in is to help you keep on track. Okay, so, this IKEA project, it's a short, sort of sharp, quick project. Okay, it's a 2-week project, and Emma wants to see your results within 2 weeks. Yeah, you then have time to expand on that and for your, module submission. So you can do that. And actually you will still have until the 20th of April if you wanted to do that. Okay? Does that make sense? Is everyone happy with that? Yeah? And then we will, yes, Molly. So you might choose to do that as part, you don't need to do it for Emma, but you might want to do that as part of your wider portfolio. Yeah? But Emma's not interested in that. Yeah? She's interested in these specific things. Mood board, product board, architectural drawings consisting of plan, section elevation, 3D visualization, and cost to implement it. Okay? that is what she wants to see. But you can choose to expand on that if you want. Okay? So, you'll submit it as an A2 portfolio, as a PDF. It can be portrait, it can be landscape, maximum of 6 pages, but you can double up on pages if you want. But maybe it just helps to think about, you know, the flow of it and how you want to collect and sort of communicate your information. But essentially, it will consist of these sort of 6 images, yeah, or 6 pieces of information. You can use this, Vectorworks, SketchUp, models, hand drawings, wireframes, Photoshop, Illustrator, photography, anything else. Okay? You can determine that, how you work on this project. Okay? You can choose to do it individually or collaboratively. And, you know, consider, so we were sort of thinking about your 3D visualization. Is it hand drawing? Are you using models? Tony's already spoke about models and the challenge that might be. You know, so is it through montage? Is it through photography? Do you superimpose something, you know, over a photograph from IKEA and sort of play around with things like that? Is it hand drawing? Okay, so you can think about, I suppose it's thinking about what resources you've got to hand, but also what skills you want to demonstrate in this project as well, and what's appropriate for the project. Okay, so that's the requirement, and then, as I say, after that information has gone to Emma, you can go, okay, do I want to add anything else into this portfolio? Do I want to show process? Do I want to show development? Have I actually done lots of other 3D work or site analysis that actually is really sort of interest and shows it as a sort of full bigger project? Okay, so that is your choice, so you can look to do that. Okay, yeah, we happy with that? So for next week, and this is where I'm being slightly vague, but there will be a review, whether that's in small group tutorial, individual tutorial. We need to be able to review your work. So this is where I will need you to, you know, where you're developing these things, to insert it into a Google Slides and share with me. And if you can't do that, that you take photographs, yeah, on your phone and you email it me, and then we can have a conversation around it. Okay, and that conversation will be, it could be in a range of different formats. Okay, and then we can have a conversation and look at, you know, are you responding to the brief? Is it clear? Is it communicating well? Actually, do you need to sort of improve or improve the communication around particular aspects of it? Here's the link to sign up for the project. So if you can't make a decision by the end of the day, then let's say by sort of midday tomorrow, yeah? And then these are the PDFs from Emma, which are showing these spaces. Okay, so I'm just trying to navigate where that is.
So I think it's the bit on the right, the white, below where it says dry riser.
The bit where it says...
Near the toilets on the right.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, that bit.
Okay. So the standing area, I'm just trying to...
I think that's where that photo has been took from.
Okay.
Who's been to IKEA? Does anybody recognise that from the plan of the photo? Can you make sense of it? Yeah.
So where standing area is where the picture's taken.
Yeah.
That kind of white blank
That white
square.
is where
Yeah.
it is.
Maybe we could add to that.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
we're saying here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see the trolley things on the right of the photo, and then it's that little square on the plan. That's where you put your trolleys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, the trays.
Okay. So for clarification, we
We will
highlight
edit that, yeah.
edit
We'll
that and
highlight
show
it.
that space on there. So there's the restaurant waiting, and what you need to do is obviously look at Emma's presentation, because all I've done is extracted the plan that was sent through with the images on here, but there was sort of specific requirements there. So it's sort of, you know, it is interesting to think about how long people spend there, and thinking about the experience. Yeah, there's the entrance seating area. So is this familiar to everyone? Yeah, so when you come up the escalators, yeah, it's sort of, so the first lot of escalators, it's this space here. Yeah. So this is sort of overlooking here. And again, she was talking about it being quite a big space. Yeah, so it's thinking about that experience and thinking about, you know, it would be quite interesting to observe. So, you know, I'm sure on one level Emma is interested in that, but in terms of visually for the design portfolio for her, that's less important. But you might want to do sort of, you know, you might go there and do some observations and look at how long people are sort of staying in some of these spaces. The customer returns. Has anyone been and used that space? Me. Yeah. Taking things back. Sometimes you are waiting there a while. Yeah, you as well, Josh. Yeah. And you know, and I have been there where literally you always go up, you pick a ticket, and you've got different counters for different things, and then you've got the counter at the end there as well. Yeah, so this is the counter. I think that's where you get your ticket, and that's the counter at the end. I'm looking at that from the right way around.
Yeah.
You see, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And these are the kiosks where you go and you return your items. It's really bland, I would say. It's big space, and it's perhaps then thinking about, again, the experience, you know, because I think if you look at that image, to me that does not say IKEA, nothing about it says IKEA really, for me. And then we've got this area, which I think is quite interesting. As Anna said, big space, and again, you know, besides the graphic up here, what is it that says IKEA? It's just sort of a real transition space. And it's sort of the end of your experience in store, and it's sort of nothing really. Yeah, it's just got the travelator. But you've got lots of heights, you've got this wall here, you've got the end wall, there's an opportunity to sort of for potential views. I'm trying to think if those windows are tinted at all, or if you
I don't think so. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the fourth space. Okay, and that. You know, I think it's with the latter two ones that are bigger spaces, which is why Emma had said if you want to work in groups. However, as an individual, if you want to work on one of those spaces and you feel that you want a sort of a bigger project, then you can do that. Okay. What are the challenges besides the obvious challenge? Yeah. Of, you know, teaching, delivery and so on. But what are challenges about projects? Anybody? Or are they, yeah, Phoebe? Yeah, okay. So what does everyone think to that? Yeah, so it is a restriction. Yeah, you know, it is just about using their stuff. Yeah? Okay, so we've got restrictions to using IKEA. What else? Any other challenges? Yeah?
Fixtures and lighting, so if you pick a full project, you can't put any additional lighting in, so you can always think about
Yeah.
where you would hit.
Yeah, okay. So it's thinking about the restrictions almost to the structure of the space, yeah, and what you can and can't do with it.
Carpentry.
Yeah, yeah, so no carpentry allowed in there, no additional lighting. Yeah? Any other challenges? Yeah? Yes. Yeah, Scandinavian modern. And it's this sort of, you know, and it is the IKEA Scandinavian modern take on it as well. Yeah, so that's a sort of big, you know, a particular route and direction that you've been told to follow. Any other challenges? Say that again, Grant. No, you can't edit the structure. So, you know, she has told you there's things you can't move this and you can't move that. So it's working within those parameters. Yeah? Anything else? What about the time frame? 2 weeks? Does that feel a challenge? Yeah? Yeah, so 2 weeks today is the 13th of March. Okay? And actually, if you were presenting, you would have been presenting on Friday the 27th. So we've got, got a couple of days extra there. Yeah, so 2 weeks. Yeah, it sort of is a challenge. But, you know, the reason we work to deadlines, yeah, is because, you know, they're sort of, in practice, project and time costs. Yeah, and this is a small project. It's about taking one of these spaces and about making quick decisions and sort of transforming that space. Okay, so it is thinking about that experience. So we've just sort of had a quick bit of a brainstorm to think about, to almost sort of break the project down and think about ideation. Yeah, so it's sort of working with ideas, thinking about what your projects might be. So it might be research driven. You might want to think in terms of exhibitions, installations. You know, you could look at sort of temporary or semi-permanent installations. And so you might do some research around that might inform what ultimately your space sort of, you know, transforms into. You might decide that you want to collaborate with other people, and so you might, you know, need to talk about who is doing what, where are people's skill sets, how are the skills that other people might want to pick up and learn from someone else, and how can you do that, and how might you do that sort of remotely or digitally as well. So it's sort of exploring the brand and the sort of IKEA values. So it's, you know, thinking about the store and the products. And I think the products, getting to know the products is really important. But perhaps getting to know them in a different way. Yeah, so, you know, we have trips to IKEA and we just get used to, you know, the Billy bookcase, yeah, and all of these different products. But actually, you know, maybe starting to think about them in a different way. You know, so what happens if you went and bought one of their products and sort of took it apart component by component? Yeah, and what do you end up with as a sort of collection of components? It's also maybe thinking about the instructions. You know, IKEA is really strong on its communication, you know, around flat pack, which comes in cardboard boxes, you know, so you might even think of that as an item, and how they communicate with very few words at all, through pictures and diagrams, how to put a piece of furniture together. Okay, so my 13-year-old is really good at putting IKEA flat packs together. So when I get them, I got some shelves last week and I said, when we get home, do you want to put the flat pack together? Okay, she really enjoys it, and she's sort of better at following the instructions than anyone else in my house. Okay, you know, so you can sort of think about not just the product, but what it comes in, how it's communicated that you put that product together. Okay, and then thinking about the brand values, so thinking about the environment, the sort of European, you know, brand, this sort of Scandinavian modern, what that means in terms of, you know, so she sort of give you an indication through product, through materials and colours, but perhaps exploring it further. Okay. So some things to think about there, and then just starting to think about approach. You know, ideally spending a bit of time in the space. Yeah, observing, recording, and analysing at people flows and movement, responding, creating. Okay, now that might be information that, as I say, you know, it might be not as sort of value for Emma, but actually really quite nice in your design portfolio. So these are sort of things that you might do, but for Emma, she's really particular about what she wants, but you can sort of add to that. You need to be decisive, yeah? You need to make quick decisions. If you're working collaboratively, you need to set yourself really quick deadlines as well. And don't be afraid to, you know, for someone to take the lead on that. It is a 2-week project, okay? So think about what medium you'll use. Think about what you've got access to. Think about what skills you're good at. So what are you feel confident with, you can quickly move ahead with. And there might be a little aspect of what needs improvement, yeah, and what might you try and sort of use to try and develop those skills. What do you want out of your portfolio? So think about it in the context of the other work that you've done this year, yeah. What do you want this particular project to look like? Do you want to show employers that actually you've got good SketchUp skills and you've not used that previously, okay? And do you use this project to do that, for instance? Yeah, it might be other skills. So think about what you want to get and how it sits with the rest of your work. Be explorative, I can never say that word. Develop your ideas really quickly. Make decisions, brainstorm. Don't be afraid to ask others, again, through tools that we have and you will have access to. You can sort of share things and ask other people's opinion, okay? Test ideas, you know, so you might not be able to make sort of fancy models, but, you know, we've got paper, yeah? You'll have access to paper. You can sort of, you know, you might want to do little things with light and form. You might want to test hanging things. Yeah, so be, you know, we're creative people. Use the sort of means that you have got and respond. We've already said about testing ideas, pulling a component apart, you know. Should maybe, I did mean to go back to them and say, what are those products that are almost their lost leaders? They don't make any money on, yeah? And, you know, it might be quite interesting to look at some of those components and actually, what is it? What material is it? What are the components it's made of? Be bold, have impact, be brave, be conceptual. Yeah, it's an opportunity. It's about this project is about concept. Okay, it's about sort of big idea in these spaces that are not about sales, but kind of about that wider sales, people leaving feeling inspired and sort of developing their understanding of the brand of IKEA. Okay, so now we're thinking about concepts. So first of all, does anyone look? If you look at that, what do you think that could be? So Rachel found that image. Any ideas? A what? A curtain. Yeah, I thought it was some sort of fabric hanging. Any other ideas? No? Rachel, what is that?
Coat hangers.
IKEA coat hangers.
IKEA coat hangers,
IKEA
yeah.
coat hangers. Okay? Stacked. Okay? Yeah? So it's kind of like mass repetition. You know, IKEA is about mass production. Yeah? It's about when we say, you know, we get familiar with IKEA and we go and we look around and we go on the routes and we think, I want this, this and this. But actually, if we look at things in slightly different ways and maybe think about what the potential of it could be, yeah, so, you know, you've got something like that. So maybe start to think about journey, materials, components, repetition, area specific. Remind me, what do you mean by area specific?
So it was looking at the returns area.
Yes.
We were thinking about perhaps as a material that you could use could be cardboard, because you're always going to bring your stuff back with the cardboard boxes. So we did ask Emma and she said they sell cardboard boxes, so that could be your primary material.
Yeah. So you could, you know, the space that you choose could drive your project. So if it is the returns, it could be thinking about how you bring things back, yeah, the packaging, the instructions manual, and actually you might use that to inform what the space is. So the products that you use might be IKEA products, but might not be, you know, the sort of typical IKEA product. You might look at it in a wider sense, so it might go to the packaging, to the cardboard, to the instructions.
Yeah, the bags, IKEA
the bags. The IKEA bags. You know, what happens if you sort of, you know, slice down the IKEA bag and stitch them together? Yeah? You know, it's the blue and the yellow, it's really strong brand. People recognise it as the IKEA bag. Yeah, so it's sort of thinking about the products, but about the wider brand of IKEA as well. Because that might have impact. Yeah? Is there a message that you want to get across? Is it about, you know, reusing things in different ways? So, you know, you might have a piece of IKEA furniture and you might think, I don't need that anymore, I've changed this space around, I'll get rid of it. But can you reconfigure, can you change it? Can you know, so there's websites, IKEA hacks, where you can sort of change, and it gives you ideas for sort of using all sorts of IKEA products in different ways. Yeah, and the instructions, you know, it might be just quite interesting to think about the instructions and look at the instructions. Yeah, it's a really sort of strong form of communication. So we've just got just a handful of images now to maybe start helping you to think about collections and arrangement. So you can arrange everyday things in different ways that make it look different, impact, yeah, or message. You know, someone asked a question about wallpapers, but you know, and she was yes, but using their sort of Scandinavian modern, you know, flexibility, things opening and closing and sort of being adaptable. You know, here, cutting things in half. We've mentioned about cardboard, yeah, repetition, stacking, different colours. That was kind of thinking about components, yeah?
The idea of taking something apart.
You know.
Does anybody recognise that image? Seen it before? Yes. Yeah. That's basically it. So it's a shed that's been exploded, and it's imagining what that would look like if it was broken down into all its different components. And it's simply suspended on, I think, fishing wire or something like that. So you could look at a sofa and do the same thing and suspend it. You know, it could be as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of scale.
Yeah, scale, colour.
Scale. Colour. You know, sort of people occupying space, different space, people using space that, you know, is sort of, you know, that room set, yeah, that are sort of stacked, and, you know, collection and arrangement of objects. I'm thinking about colour, how things are organised, whether it's through colour or it might be through materials. You know, looking at how things are hanging or suspended or attached. Yeah? Okay. So, I suppose the point of those last images are to maybe help you think about the project wider than just taking particular products and arranging them in a space. Yeah, it's maybe thinking about it a bit more like an installation, an exhibition, a collection. It's maybe thinking about looking with different eyes at, you know, everyday products. It's maybe thinking about the space that you use and using that space and what it is, you know, so to inform your process and your design and your concept. So we mentioned about the returns and, you know, flat pack, people bringing things back. I've been one, I've taken things back, I'm trying to squash things back into plastic bags that won't go, and you end up sort of taking all of these individual things back and returning them. If it's the restaurant, you know, it's maybe thinking about the food, the type of food. Does that inform in some way what you do? Yeah, because, you know, she mentioned about the meatballs. You know, they are kind of, you know, synonymous with IKEA. So maybe it's sort of thinking about things like that as well. Yeah, so it's thinking about your approach, perhaps wider than just almost dressing the space, yeah? So for 2 weeks, it's about making bold decisions, being creative, yeah? Thinking about, you know, this sort of big brand that does quite an interesting thing in that it appeals to all ages, yeah? All budgets, yeah? So you can sort of start to, you know, maybe pull some of those things apart. So that's on Blackboard. Has anyone got any questions about what it is they need to be doing, what they need to be submitting, how to submit it, anything like that? Yeah.
Did you get the wall heights?
Say that again, Shirley.
Did you get the wall heights on the lab?
No, but we have had a conversation about it, and so I'm going to ask Emma for sections as well. Yeah, and for some of them, for some of those spaces, actually, you know, at this stage, I would say it's more difficult with that one, but those, you know, so essentially when you're looking here, you've got this grid, okay? So above the grid, it's kind of an exposed surfaces. Yeah, so you see the ceiling grid here. So you know, you could hang from there. You can see the hanging fabrics from the grid, but you can start even by looking at the lift and thinking, okay, well, the top of the door, that's probably 2.1. Where does the grid come in? It's probably 900 or a metre above that. So you might be looking at 3 metres to that grid soffit, yeah? So you can start to use the photographs to kind of inform what heights might be on some of those spaces. But I'm going to ask her for sections as well, okay? But do use the information you've got and start to sort of work things out. Yeah? And if you go there, you know, you can sort of say, if you go there with a pal, you can stand there and get someone to take a photograph, and you can then, you know, look at that and, you know, start to make decisions on heights. Yeah? Anything else? No? Anything else you want to add, Rach?
I don't think so.
No?
I think my main thing would be, while it's still open and things are as they stand, I might go.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah? It's like this situation is ever changing. Yeah, so I think it's as long as you know, if you're feeling fit and healthy, you know, as Rachel said, perhaps just take a trip down there. Josh pulling this. Yeah, but maybe take a trip down there. You get the bus down there.
Tram.
Have a tram. Get the tram. Emma was getting the tram back there.
Sure.
Yeah. Go have a look. Go check out the spaces. Make a decision. Take photographs and start, you know, and actually think about your plan this week when you are going to be around. Use the resources that we've got. If you need to print stuff off, and, you know, use the photocopier to sketch things over. So just do a little bit of planning ahead. To reiterate what Tony said, that, you know, we will be ever flexible about your kind of mode of delivery and what you've got access to and what you haven't got access to. Yeah, but it still is a 2-week project. Okay. Having said that, okay, if for whatever reason you fall poorly, you know, and you can't hit that 30th of March deadline, you don't need to apply. It's the same thing. You don't need to apply for an extension. The ultimate deadline in you know, all our sort of module here is the 14th of May. Okay, so if you get ill, if you've got to look after someone, if you can't do it, do not worry. Okay, 14th of May is ultimately when everything will be marked. Okay, so you'll get indicative mark on Thursday for what you've done so far, and that's indicative. You can still go back and make it as good as you can. So remember, the intention is that you get, you know, the best work that you can get out of second year. Okay, so everything is set up to help you do that. Okay, you know, try to hit those deadlines because it's just good. It's good for you, good practice. But things crop up, and if you can't do it, you don't need to beat yourself up over it. Okay. So we'll leave that there.